Hello, this is Adrian Soto, student of Extended School of Management. And this presentation is about the influence of the trends of business, big data analytics, and gamification in the human resources processes for the course of strategic planning for human resources by Professor Jeff Ha. This is the agenda. I'm going to explain, going to be a little introduction about the concepts of gamification, big data analytics, and how they can relate to every process of human resources. To start, what is big data analytics and what is gamification? Let's start with big data analytics. So big data analytics is really hard to narrow to one concept. Many authors have tried doing it before, but the problem is they try to approach it by a single use. One that I remember a lot is a philosophical approach that big data analytics is the extension of the human brain. But to make justice to the concept, we're gonna need three sub-concepts. It's gonna be data domain, uh, business intelligence domain, and statistics domain. And each of them gonna have three V's to make it easier to remember. So the data domain is about like the volume of the data, how much data do we have, the velocity, and the veracity. This is the main three. That's how Langley, well-known author in data analytics, this started to describe the world of big data. And then we have the business intelligence domain. So this is the part where we process that information. And we need three qualities more, three V's. Visibility, value, and that data is verdict. And last but not least, the statistics domain. Uh, we need veracity, validity. That means that is relevant and that we can validate this data, that it comes from a reliable source, and variability, that it's going to be applied in different uh, concepts and context. And what is gamification? Well, just a fun fact, video games market is valuing by 2021 at 217.06 billion US dollars, which is an immense market. What we think about gamification is the use of a game design element in non-game concepts. And let's not think that this is only about giving rewards to our employees for doing things right, because this can lead to dangerous areas that we don't want. For example, there is a study where they used to give kids cash for every drawing they make, and in time the kids stop doing like quality drawings, but doing more quantity, less quality. And the worst part is that the outcome was that kids stop enjoying drawing. So we don't want that to happen with our employees and their tasks and functions. So when make sure there are three characteristics that gamification can make a difference in our company. First is relatedness. We need to make sure that personal goals, a sense of community, and a clear context is part of these activities of gamification. Also, competence. We need to be sure this is challenging scenarios, challenging enough to make it entertaining, and also we need to give them tools to not make it overwhelming. We need to give them precise goals so that they know where to aim, and encouraging feedback. That also works. Not punishing feedback. That's also part of game design, which is it's a beautiful science slash art I would like to talk about later. And autonomy. The participation of this activity should be voluntary, always, all the time. We've got to be careful about the loopholes. You need to give people freedom of participation. So make sure they don't try to cheat or make shortcuts that kind of the virtues, the purpose of gamification activities in a company. And now we're going to see how I'm going to apply in human resources processes. And first, in planning, before we start with planning, I will let you know that there is a couple concepts that might not apply to gamification. So That's why some might have two columns. So for planning, we can plan with KSAs. What type of knowledge, skills, and abilities do we need from newcomers to our company? Excellent software planning. And according to a study based on Nagendra and Deshpande, it's a study made in India. A lot of managers, the ones who mostly make decisions, they were happy and they see BDA analytics to be really helpful when they have to apply their processes. Then recruitment, it's interesting because with BDA on recruitment, we can see which channels is more cost effective. Like, is it better to bring someone from the outside or train someone in the company? Which of the channels give you a better quality of employees? And so, what is the historical data of successful candidates? What do they all have in common? And that's for BDA. And then for gamification, Marriott created this app called My Marriott, and it started as a game on Facebook, but then some people, you can see who was more interested in it, and then you can create a pool of candidates out of that. Uh, it wasn't purpose like that, but it kind of worked that way. The game is not available anymore, but it was a fun way to test gamification for recruiting processes. And also that reveals like different solutions to the same problem. Maybe people with different backgrounds, and that's interesting to take in consideration when recruiting people. And selection. Many people, okay, before we keep going with selection, many people confuse selection and recruitment. Recruitment is to bring the pool of candidates. Then selection is the process of, from this pool of candidates, which is going to be part of the team. And so for selection, similar, we're using predictive business big data analytics to see what are the components and characteristics that make someone stay longer. For example, what is the influence of this factor that makes uh, a potential employee prone to stay longer in the company, who's going to quit in a short time, who is more prone to be trained as a manager, or he's going to be like a team player in the same position for a long time. That's important in order for planning. And gamification in selection is a common trend. Uh, we try to reveal the skills through the quizzes, challenges, and quests that we put in this process. So we can pick up data of soft and hard skills, and since we pick up more information, then we can make better decisions. That's the main outcome of applying gamification in selection. For onboarding, this is one of the most important but underrated processes in human resources. It's really important for someone who's new in a company to feel part of the culture. So that's how onboarding objective is. So the importance of onboarding process, the BDA takes is not necessarily how it was the onboarding, but what are uh, the, the the indicators that say, hey, this was a good onboarding. There's a lot of better and faster employee engagement in the culture. There's also an identification with company's value and objectives, because that's part of the onboarding process about feeling part of a community and going for those objectives as a team. So, and in case of gamification, there was this mobile app and that lead the onboarding processes and how to learn what are the values of the company, and that develop more motivation and more engagement. And we call this work integrated learning because we are learning about the company's objectives. We just do it in a more fun way. So I'm gonna keep this clear. This is more on the educational side of gamification. So we might see this again later in other processes. For example, in training. For BDA in training, it's interesting to have all those skills of all these people on all the processes. We can organize this large size of information and then make it accessible And what I like the most about BDA and training is like there's a lot of excuses behind not training your people. It's like, hey, we don't have time, but we actually do have time. But what do we have time for? So I can tell you, look, if you make this training, then your employees are going to have a better ROI, which means return on investment. If you invest $10,000 in training your people, the next term or the next year, your sales are going to increase by 30%. And that's going to be okay. Then $10,000 investment to get $3 million the next year, then it is worth it. There is time for that. So this can promote a training culture based on numbers, thanks to big data analytics. And gamification, as I said earlier, is also educational process, very similar to onboarding. And I'd rather not repeat that because it's the same direction with education. Performance management, BDA performance management, read people's analytics, big factors that can change company direction, like the change of management. But this is this BDA is going to be a tool to help this human vision for people, because managers are who leads the groups, are people who leads groups. So we need to human ground when analyzing data in this field. And career development, BDA has been really interesting about career development because you can track the current CEO. What was his position before being a CEO, and what was the position before being that position, going on and on to maybe an operational position, or where did it start, which department did it go through, for how long. And then if I get an employee that says, my goal in this company is to become a CEO, then we can help them to reach that goal if we see the motivation and the abilities and the skills to make it happen. And then we can move them through these directions in order to meet the expectations of the best CEO that the company had. So we need like historical data of all the CEOs. Like, for example, well, 20% of the CEOs made it after being uh, general manager of the Department of Human Resources, or the Department of Finance is the one who gives more CEOs. So that's important to understand. It's not going to be precise predictive data, but it's going to give us a clue where to go and how to manage future CEOs for the company. And this is a case that it was really fun to read and understand. So Greek yogurt is in big demand in the US. It's a huge market. There's so many brands around it. And Danone it was a consolidated brand back then. Timothy Weber, the CEO in that time, they used to use really hard Excel spreadsheets to make forecasts, which is only like 70% accurate. And as soon as they found the BDA, well, IBA predictive IBM predictive software, it reached 98% accuracy, and that can translate in business. They took their piece of the cake of the market, as we call market share, from 2.8% to 13% of the market share. That's a huge jump, more than 10% jump. And it was fun to watch because they don't not only did it for predictive sales, but also for predicting flavors, which also help a lot in this industry. Uh, and now Danone is a huge company. You can look in their webpage. Everything is it's just the number of flavors they have, the little uh, extension of the products they have around the Greek yogurt. It's very interesting. And everything happened between 2010 and 2015. What they did mention is that they thought for some point, like IBM, the software might need to like maintenance maybe twice a year just to make sure that data is not being biased by other factors unnecessarily, or they can upload new factors so the data can be more accurate. But they noticed they need to do it not twice a year, but maybe a couple times more every term. We call that every 3 months. So it's interesting that they pointed that out. This is the reference I use for my individual assignment and for this PowerPoint. Thank you so much. This was Adrian Soto.